The village of Sleepy Hollow was very, very quiet. Houses huddled together, chimneys puffed lazy smoke. The old clock tower stood tall, its bell silent. It hadn't chimed for years. Nobody remembered why. The villagers liked the quiet. They liked the routine. Wake up, feed the chickens, milk the cows, and sleep. Life was simple. Until one night, everything changed. Toby and Lily were brother and sister. They lived in a cozy little house at the edge of a small town. Their days were filled with laughter, play, and the occasional sibling squabble. Despite their differences, they shared a bond that was unbreakable. Toby was cautious. He liked his books and his warm fire. He could spend hours lost in the pages of a good story, imagining far-off lands and heroic deeds. The crackling of the fire was his favorite sound, a comforting backdrop to his quiet adventures. Lily was different. She was brave and loved adventure. The outdoors called to her, and she would often be found exploring the woods behind their house, flashlight in hand, searching for hidden treasures and secret paths. Her curiosity knew no bounds. They were different, but they loved each other very much. Their differences complemented each other, making their bond even stronger. Toby's caution balanced Lily's daring, and Lily's bravery encouraged Toby to step out of his comfort zone. One night, Lily heard a strange sound. It was faint at first, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. She sat up in bed, straining her ears to catch it again. There it was, a soft, eerie noise that sent a shiver down her spine.
"Toby, wake up!" she whispered urgently, shaking her brother's shoulder. She knew Toby would be annoyed, but she couldn't ignore the sound.
She whispered. Her voice was barely audible, but it was enough to rouse Toby from his slumber.
"Did you hear that?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with concern. She hoped Toby had heard it too, that it wasn't just her imagination playing tricks on her.
"Hear what?" "It's just the wind, Lily," Toby mumbled, still half asleep. He pulled his blanket over his head, trying to block out his sister's voice and the strange noise.
Toby grumbled, pulling his blanket tighter. He didn't want to get out of bed, especially not for something as silly as a noise in the night. But Lily was persistent. But it wasn't the wind, it was the sound of the clock tower bell. The old clock tower at the edge of town had been silent for years, its bell rusted and forgotten. Yet tonight it was ringing, its chimes echoing through the night. And it was ringing. The sound was clear and unmistakable, cutting through the silence like a knife. Lily and Toby exchanged a glance, both realizing that this was no ordinary night. Something was happening, something that would change their lives forever. Bong, bong, bong. The bell tolled 12 times. The sound echoed through the village. Toby and Lily sat up in bed, their eyes wide. The clock tower bell was ringing. But how? It was broken. Curiosity bubbled inside Lily. She had to find out what was going on.
"Come on, Toby, we have to see this,"
she urged, shaking her brother awake. Toby, still hesitant, was eventually persuaded by Lily's infectious enthusiasm. The night was dark, lit only by the twinkling stars above. Shadows danced around Toby and Lily as they crept towards the clock tower. Every rustle of leaves, every hoot of an owl made Toby jump. Lily, however, was undeterred. She held her head high, her eyes shining with determination.
"Don't worry, Toby. We'll find out what's making that bell ring,"
she said, her voice a reassuring whisper.
The old wooden door creaked open as if it hadn't been touched in centuries. The sound echoed through the empty hallways, sending shivers down their spines. It was a door that held many secrets, secrets that had been buried in the sands of time. The children hesitated for a moment, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. They had heard stories about the old clock tower, stories that spoke of hidden treasures and ancient curses. But nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to discover.
Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint scent of something old and forgotten. The room was filled with relics from a bygone era, covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. Old books, mysterious artifacts, and broken furniture were scattered around, each telling a story of its own. The children moved cautiously, their eyes wide with wonder and curiosity. They could almost hear the whispers of the past, calling out to them, urging them to uncover the secrets hidden within these walls.
Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the stairs leading up were shrouded in darkness. The children exchanged nervous glances, but their determination to uncover the truth was stronger than their fear. They took a deep breath and began their ascent, each step echoing through the silent tower. The air grew colder as they climbed higher, and the shadows seemed to dance around them, creating an eerie atmosphere. It was as if the tower itself was alive, watching their every move.
As they climbed, the sound of the bell grew louder. It was a deep, resonant sound that seemed to come from the very heart of the tower. With each step, the anticipation grew, and so did the mystery. What was waiting for them at the top? The children could feel the weight of history pressing down on them, urging them to keep going. They knew that whatever they found would change their lives forever.
Bong! The sound reverberated through the tower, shaking the very walls. It was a sound that seemed to come from another world, a world where time stood still and secrets were kept hidden. The children paused, their hearts racing. They knew they were close, but the sound of the bell was both a warning and a call. It was as if the tower was testing their resolve, challenging them to continue. Bong! S1! Bong! The bell continued to ring, each chime louder and more insistent than the last. The children pressed on, their determination unwavering. They could feel the vibrations in their chests, a reminder of the power and mystery that lay ahead. The tower seemed to come alive with each chime, its ancient walls resonating with the sound. It was a moment of both fear and exhilaration, a moment that would be etched in their memories forever.
Each chime seemed to vibrate in their chests. Outside, the village lay silent under the moonlit sky, unaware of the adventure unfolding within the old clock tower. The stars twinkled above, casting a gentle glow on the ancient structure. It was a night like no other, a night filled with mystery and wonder. The children felt a connection to the past, a sense of belonging to something greater than themselves. They knew that this was their moment, their chance to uncover the truth. Finally, they reached the top. The climb had been long and arduous, but their determination had paid off. They stood at the entrance to the bell chamber, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and metal, a reminder of the tower's long history. They took a deep breath and stepped inside, ready to face whatever awaited them. There, in the middle of the room, was the enormous bell, bathed in an eerie golden light. It was a sight to behold, a symbol of the tower's ancient power and mystery. The children stood in awe, their eyes wide with wonder. They knew that they had uncovered something truly special, something that would change their lives forever. The secrets of the clock tower were now theirs to discover, and they were ready to embrace the adventure that lay ahead. As Toby and Lily watched, a shimmering figure began to materialize beside the bell. It was a small old man with a long white beard and kind eyes. He wore a robe that seemed to be woven from starlight.
Who are you?
Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly. The old man smiled.
I am the guardian of time. And this bell you see is no ordinary bell. It's a warning.
The Guardian explained that the bell only rang when danger was near. It was an ancient tradition passed down through generations that the bell would serve as a sentinel, a watchful eye over the village. The villagers had always trusted its sound, knowing that it would alert them to any impending peril. The Guardian, with his years of wisdom, had seen many storms come and go, but this one felt different. There was an urgency in the air, a sense of foreboding that couldn't be ignored. A great storm was brewing, a storm that threatened to flood the village and wash everything away. The skies had darkened ominously, and the wind howled through the narrow streets, rattling windows and doors. The villagers, unaware of the looming danger, went about their evening routines, oblivious to the tempest that was about to strike. The Guardian knew that time was of the essence. The storm was not just a natural phenomenon. It carried with it a sense of malevolence, as if it was sent by some unseen force.
But why didn't you wake everyone up? The question hung in the air, filled with a mix of confusion and frustration. The villagers had always relied on the Guardian's wisdom, and now, in their moment of need, they felt abandoned. The urgency in the speaker's voice was palpable, a reflection of the growing panic that was beginning to spread.
Toby asked, confused. He had always looked up to the Guardian, seeing him as a figure of unwavering strength and knowledge, but now doubt crept into his mind. Why had the Guardian not taken more direct action? Why had he left the villagers to fend for themselves in the face of such a dire threat? Toby's mind raced with questions, each one more pressing than the last.
The bell is only a warning. It is up to the villagers to heed it. The guardian's voice was calm, yet firm. He knew that the responsibility ultimately lay with the villagers themselves. The bell could only do so much. It was a signal, a call to action. The true power to protect the village lay in the hands of its people. They had to come together, to act as one if they were to survive the night.
Lily knew what they had to do. They had to warn the village. She felt a surge of determination, a fire igniting within her. She couldn't just stand by and watch as her home was destroyed. She had to take action, to rally the villagers and prepare them for the storm. With a resolute expression, she turned to Toby and nodded. They both understood the gravity of the situation and the importance of their mission. Together, they raced down the stairs, the guardian's words echoing in their ears. The sound of the bell continued to ring out, a constant reminder of the danger that loomed. As they descended, they could hear the wind growing louder, the storm drawing ever closer. They knew that every second counted. Their hearts pounded in their chests, but they pushed forward, driven by a shared sense of purpose. They had to reach the village in time. They had to save their home. The villagers, awakened by Toby and Lily's frantic knocking and shouts, were at first disbelieving, but they trusted the children, and they could see the fear in their eyes. They quickly began preparing for the storm.
Let's reinforce our houses and gather our animals.
Help your neighbors, everyone.
When the storm hit, it was fierce. But the village of Sleepy Hollow was ready, and thanks to Toby and Lily, not a single soul was lost. From that day forward, the clock tower bell was no longer silent. Every day at noon it rang out, a cheerful reminder of the courage of two children who faced their fears and saved their village. Toby and Lily learned that bravery wasn't about not being afraid. It was about doing what was right, even when you were scared. And sometimes the greatest discoveries were made by those brave enough to listen to the whispers of the unknown.